and the only place we could truly call home. I can't plan visit trips or visit foreign countries without stabbing guilt and sorrow, knowing she can't enjoy it with us, and knowing that there's so many experiences I would have cherished that will never be experienced. I find myself filling my time with events and meaningless busy work, unable to stop the overwhelming grief and pain I experience when left to my own thoughts. If I don't hear from my family after so many hours, or my wife is more than a few minutes late, my mind immediately is thrown to the worst case scenario, and I'm unable to stop the physical ailments and repercussions of experiencing that day and time again. When I'm able to sleep, Steffi is in my dreams, either leaving us or already gone, and I can never do anything to stop it. I wake depressed and unmotivated, barely trudging through the day, my morale and performance severely crippled. I've been through various therapists and found no solace. My previously solid spirituality is flawed and questionable at best. My shipmates who knew me before the accident have frequently expressed their concern for me, saying that I don't smile and I am no longer the happy, optimistic girl who had the world worth of plans for the future. When Stephanie passed, I died, and it's seemingly impossible to recover. I'm not the only one who had a beautiful and promising future stolen away. My children have been robbed of a wonderful aunt who could have helped them travel the world and see good and wonder in everyday life. My nieces or nephew, for whom Steffi had chosen the names Nico and Hoda, have been taken from me, and I'll never have the chance to spoil them. I was raised in a family where there were many cousins, uncles, and aunts. Now without Stephanie, our children have no uncles or aunts or cousins. More than anyway, Stephanie was robbed of a dream she had been concocting since childhood. Her only desires were to make the world smile, fix Disneyland Paris, and become the best Imagineer she could, so that one day her creations could bring families together and instill an unwavering sense of joy in them. Instead, her legacy will remain with the life she was forced to end too soon, with the incredibly vast reach of her kind and optimistic ways had on life around the world. Stephanie once said, "Let a blank sheet of paper be the greatest opportunity in the world, not the most frightening. You get to make the first mark on the sheet. So let it be whatever you desire, and not what others want." I wish she could be here to finish that masterpiece that so many of us look forward to. So, Your Honor, there is no amount of justice that will ever return our daughter or sister or set our lives right, but we ask that the court, for every possible minute of imprisonment, be given under the maximum sentence of the law without a chance of parole, so that no other person or family has to suffer as our family and I have.
Thank you.
I don't think hers made it here, unfortunately, but I also want to mention, you haven't seen my son here, Brandon, our son. Brandon's strong that he can't give another minute to this person. He has taken too much from me already. And so he's chosen to keep at his work and college. My daughter thought that she would be able to come up, but it's too much right now. She posted this, I don't know if you've seen My World Would Be So Different If You Were Still Alive, and we had adapted it to what she's gone through on her letter. If you want to. Dear Judge Young, as I think about what to say regarding our losses, my thoughts spring my daughter's daddy, my son's dad, and my Bill. The biggest losses here would have to go to Bill and Stephanie. Already in the time it took to get this conviction, Bill has missed Paxton's high school graduation from his daughter. Bill has missed the maturity his son is attaining. Bill missed that 10:30 meeting, December 12th, 2014. The meeting he worked so hard to bring on the table. He deeply and professionally wanted to implement and follow through on that project. If only I could have watched Bill celebrate the Cavaliers win. 52 years. He suffered through Cleveland. And he missed Bill. He took great care of himself so he could be a strong adult for his family. He missed his Paxton on our senior tag team, strategizing week after week and pulling through to win. He missed his Brandon fight to focus on school, on his health, and then going to training to hike 26 miles of Grand Canyon. It would have meant so much to Bill to see those he mentored over the years to grow strong in their careers, to see his children off to college, to do part of parenting that would have come easily to Bill. Bill was robbed of the opportunity to be there for his children, to be there by his wife. Bill ended up a victim of the very thing he worked so hard to prevent. Keeping safe with safety of vehicle and pedestrian traffic. He felt this was necessary to keep our streets safer. In my eyes, I've been, based on the destruction in our lives, the driver's sentence should be life. I understand our legal system determines by some mathematical method, what is fair, but how can that possibly affect Bill's life and dreams? That is why I request...
Replay in my head. I just think of them and smile, and then pick up the phone to give you a call or a text. If you were still alive, I'd have one more person to introduce my boyfriend to. One more person to embarrass me with awkward stories about my childhood. One more person to welcome him into our messed up threesome. If you were still alive, then there would be one more voice cheering over the fireworks on 4th of July. One more voice yelling at the baseball game, and one more voice singing along to whatever bullshit song popped up on the radio. If you were still alive, there would be one less tattoo adorning my body. One less date that made me burst into tears every single year. Your birthday would be the only date that reminded me of you, and we'd have a hell of a good time celebrating. If you were still alive, there would be one more person for me to call whenever I needed a designated driver. One more person to scream at me for acting like an irresponsible kid. One more person to make me feel like I'd be missed if anything ever happened to me. If you were still alive, there would be a critical person providing for my wedding. One more person to dance when the shout flooded the speakers. One more person to tear up and tell me how happy they are for me and my new husband. If you were still alive, I'd have one more person to show around my dorm room. We would have been able to finish our game of war. One more person to tell me that they're proud of everything I've become. If you were still alive, I wouldn't have to talk to you through prayers or through my dreams. I could send you a text or write you a letter or just show up on your front step in the middle of the night. And you'd be happy to see me. Well, maybe not happy, yet you would listen once I woke you. If you were still alive, I wouldn't have pushed certain people away. I wouldn't be as pessimistic and cold as I am now. I wouldn't be so terrified of losing someone again, someone I care about as much as you. But if you were still alive, I might not have realized that the whole live each day like it's your last mindset is legit, that I need to treasure every moment while I still can and tell my family I love them as much as possible. As much as I miss you, I'm thankful for what you taught me while you were here and what you're continuing to teach me now that you're gone.
Thank you. Your Honor, if we may, he wants to address the court and families, and then I'll have a brief summary at the end of that.
Does he want to use the headset?
I don't know. He had him on for a while, and then I think...
We'll let you address it. Mr. Trent, is there anything you'd like to tell me?
Tell the family so sorry. I'm so sorry. I have 2 daughters of my own.
You can remain seated.
I'm trying to understand what you're going through. Really, I'm trying to think of what I would be feeling if I lost one of my daughters. And I can't go there. I can't even start to think of it. I'm so sorry. There's an accident. If I can do it, I'll bring it back. I'm glad to give up. It's a senseless tragedy. I've been dealing with this. God in heaven. Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry, Your Honor. It's just all it's a horrible nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's tough. It was tough. I'm so sorry.
If I may, Your Honor, just briefly, what I would tell the court knows a whole lot about this case, knows a whole lot about Terry. You've got the pre-sentence investigation. There were many examinations done of him. I would tell the court, it's my opinion, that had a different counsel been involved earlier, that this whole thing may have ended up a little bit differently. If somebody had a little kinder hand and maybe a little more gentler hand with him, he would have come to realize some of these things didn't need to come out in court this way. I would also note for the record that the court got a letter from him expressing great remorse. And even though pre-sentence investigation may or may not, as Mr. Cable said, make a lot of sense to any of us, the court's aware he has mental conditions, that there's something going on with him, and even though he was competent to stand trial, and not temporarily insane or whatever the legal issue is, there's issues within his mind that he's going to fight for the rest of his life. And what I would also suggest to the court, certainly not disrespectfully, but I would suggest that these crimes are not the most heinous and egregious type of this crime. 2 families have lost members of their families, and there's nothing that can ever bring those back. The remorse that we have, I listen to this testimony from these families, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. What they've suffered for all these months is beyond my comprehension. I don't have children, and good God, I would never want to go through that type of pain. But giving Terry the maximum sentence achieves nothing but, I don't know, revenge, I guess. And he's got to be punished. The law says he's going to be punished. He knows he's going to be punished, but I would argue that, suggest, I guess, to the court that the maximum sentence serves nobody any good. Thank you.
The sentence in this case is based upon the overriding principles and purposes of felony sentencing stated in 292911, specifically protect the public from future crime by you and others, to punish you using the minimum sanctions that I determine will accomplish these purposes without imposing any unnecessary burden on state and local government resources, to ensure that a sentence is consistent with other similar offenses committed by like offenders, that the sentence is proportionate to the harm you caused and the impact upon the victims in this matter, and that your sentence is not based upon any impermissible purpose. Finally, in determining your sentence, I've considered all seriousness and recidivism factors 292912B through E. When sentencing as to counts 3 and 4, felonies of the 4th degree, I do find that there is a factor that physical harm is caused to a person. Recidivism likely, I do find the factor of a prior adjudication of a criminal conviction, and I also find the factor that the defendant shows no remorse. Recidivism unlikely, that the defendant has lived a law-abiding for a significant number of years prior to the event. The more serious factors, I do find that the victims suffered serious physical, psychological, and economic harm as a result of the offense, and that the relationship with the victim on count 4 facilitated the offense. And sentencing you, I will sentence you to 60 months on count 1, 60 months on count 2, 18 months on count 3, 18 months on count 4. I will give you 589 days of jail time credit. I must make a finding pursuant to 2929.14C4. I find that consecutive sentences are necessary to punish the defendant or to protect the public from future crime by you. I further find that consecutive sentences are not disproportionate to the seriousness of the conduct and the danger posed by the defendant to the public. I further find that 2 or more offenses are part of 1 or more courses of conduct, and the harm caused is so great or unusual that a single prison term would not adequately reflect the seriousness of the conduct. I will run count 1 consecutive to count 2, which will also be consecutive to count 3, which will also be consecutive to count 4. I will suspend your driver's license for life, effective today's date, without occupational driving privileges. And after you serve the 13 years, Mr. Trent, you will be subject to 3 years term of post-release control under Section 2967.28 when this period of post-release control is imposed following your release from prison. And if you violate conditions of that supervision, the parole board may impose a prison term as part of your sentence up to 1/2 your stated prison term. While on post-release, if while on post-release control you are convicted of a new felony offense, in addition to being punished for the underlying conduct, an additional prison term of 1 year or what time remains on your post-release control term may be added as an additional consecutive penalty. So there'll be a total of 13 years, and I will disapprove of your placement in any intensive prison program or transitional control. All fines and court costs are waived given the amount of incarceration. Is there anything further from the state of Ohio?
No, Judge, thank you.
And is there anything further from the defense? Other than I will go over his right to appeal.
That's the only thing I was going to suggest, Your Honor, that you'll point
Mr.
to.
Trent, you have a right to file a notice of appeal within 30 days of the date that this entry is reported. I will appoint an attorney for you. His name is Todd W. Barstow. And Mr. Denner, if you want to give him that card. And so I will appoint the attorney. Is there anything further on behalf of the defense other than you have a right to appeal a matter?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
He's going to sign that.
you're concerned with when you see that many people actually want to.